Hey guys, welcome back to another awesome interview. And I've got Ilias. Dude, you've had an amazing run with Levia. What was your record? Was it like undefeated?
Day one, yes.
Day one undefeated.
Day one undefeated. I finished up 5-3 in CC, unfortunately. Had a rough day too.
Okay. Well, this was at the Pro Tour LA.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what happened at like day two?
Oh.
Apart from the draft, we'll ignore the draft.
Okay, we'll ignore the draft. Quickly on the draft.
Okay, quickly on the draft.
It was a very insane draft. I was on the top table, obviously, and we had 8 mediocre decks. It was beautiful to see. Like, everybody drafted their seed. Everybody, it was everything was perfectly balanced, and everybody had a mediocre deck. But if that's what's happening, it's also really scary, right? Because anybody can bomb all 3, anybody can go 3 or anything. Just anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
How the games,
Yeah.
So, I went 1-2 there, so that's part of the how day 2 went bad story, because this deck could have easily gone 3-0, 2-1, or 0-3 since all the decks were mediocre.
Yeah, that's fair. So, you went when you went undefeated day 1. I'll tell you what, we'll start there. We'll say we'll get to day 2. We'll get to day 2 in a minute. So day 1, you went undefeated with Levia. First off, as well, why did you pick Levia? Why Levia for the Pro Tour? Was it Mansan? Did he get you? Did he slip you £100? What was it?
No, not. I mean, I don't know. I have a teammate who's been playing the deck for a while. I was just feeling uncomfortable playing against it. And I was like, I don't know, maybe there's something there. And then I played the Kaio matchup, and I felt, okay, this is like kind of nice. You have aggro mirror where you have Husk, and you're like slightly ahead, and you kind of play the same good cards. Okay, I'm digging this. And then what really convinced me was the draw my sideboard plan that we'll talk about later. But maybe like as a because I have a lot of draw my sims in my team, and they were jam and draw my just play this, and then once I found that equipment tech, I was really digging it and was like, yes, okay. I was expecting even more draw my, by the way, at the PT than that was.
Sure.
So
that's your reason why. So another thing as well, like KO's the hotness at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
So what is Levia doing that KO isn't?
That's a great question, especially moving forward with some new cards releasing and stuff. But at the time, maybe I wasn't looking at the best KO lists that could be done or something. But I just felt uncomfortable with. I felt less good in the draw my matchup. You don't have that reliable of poppers, and with Levia and the Cyber plan, was just okay, can't lose. And the Brood Mirror, I felt like slightly favored in the Brood Mirror, and I was like more comfortable. Okay, let's just play Levia against Brood, then play KO Mirrors, which can be very like, a lot of variants.
Yeah, that's it. Right? The brute life.
Yeah.
Let's go through day 1. You went undefeated. What was your matchups?
Yeah, I got lucky. As anyone does when they go undefeated. I got lucky with my bracket. I faced Kano, Alexander Vor, round 1. Which is a great matchup for Levia. Another reason to bring Levia if you want, right? You have the Spell Void 4 with the prevention effects.
Yeah.
I faced 2 Kanos, 1 Victor, and Prism. So 4 good matchups just straight up.
Very lucky. That's fair. And then
Prism, I played against Rhea on stream as well. You can see that.
Okay.
It's actually also the match where I made the gravest misplay because of my inexperience against Prism.
Right.
Like I had such good tech in my deck, and I just didn't submit it. So
fair enough. Fair enough. And then what happened? And then day 2, what happened?
Day 2, like again, this whole tournament, like apparently, this is the first time I brought Levia to a tournament. So, and I'm like a guardian. I've played a lot of Ultim in the past and stuff like that. So when you bring Levia to a tournament, apparently the craziest shit happens. And there were multiple crazy games for sure, including the craziest game I have ever played or ever seen someone play in Flesh and Blood.
Right.
It was against a Bravo, where the game, in the early game, I have the most incredible start. Like, I'm just casting Art of Wars and Blood Rush Bellows back to back to back to back, and they're on the back foot, they're just taking it, you know? And then I don't have a banish. I'm forced to play my Dreadroot Rumbler pitching. I remember pitching an Alehorn to play the Rumbler.
Yeah.
Draw, discard another Alehorn. Take 10 blood debt from 26 to 16, okay? But I'm like, you know what? That's actually not a problem. Like, my early game has been insane enough. I can deal with this, okay? So I'm feeling okay. I just deal 10 to myself. What's the big deal, right? Next turn, I play a blue Screamer, yeah? And I miss my Screamer in like between 1 and 2% chance, closer to 1 than to 2. Miss my Screamer. Well, that's okay. I go down to 13, transform into Blasmophet with like 15 blood debt at that point. Yeah. And then, I might fatigue here. It's scary. And then I still win. That's the hilarious part. That's where so there was low enough that I just need to okay, how do I get over the last red staunch that I haven't played?
Yeah.
Then I call the judge to ask if when I play Howl from Beyond from my banish zone, yeah, does that take away the charge basically from my Blasmophet, allowing me to play blood dead cards from my banish zone? Or can I play the Howl that I can play naturally and then play another blood dead card? I actually didn't know this, never came up before. And they said yes, which was huge, you can. So I go in for how I actually also had to, in order to get over the red staunch, I had to block with my gloves to give myself a might token, which slightly increases the chance for my convulsions for the dominate to miss as well.
Oh.
So it's like also you have to make the calculus, right? Okay, wait. Is it more likely for me to miss? Is it more likely for them to have the red staunch? But I like, no. I mean, the chances are increased by putting one more card in the graveyard here. It's very marginal, yeah? So, and it all works out. I get the might token. They do have the staunch, exactly. They staunch for 10, and I kill them exactly. It was the most insane game. With Howl, Convulsions, and then Hungering Slaughter Beast from the banish zone as well.
Yeah.
For dominated, how much was it? What dominated 12.
Yeah.
And they were 2 life, staunch for 10. Exactly that. I mean, most satisfying game ever, right? Like, and they were in shock. They were completely in shock. We were both just looking at each other, and it was very Well, what just happened?
That sounds like a wild game. Right, let's go through this. Let's go through this wild hero. So obviously they've had Levia's had a massive upgrade with Apex Bonebreaker. How big is that for Levia in general?
I mean, it's
I know it's an obvious answer.
Yeah, probably don't. I mean, it's probably a reason to play the deck, like up there.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 points of value, block with a 6. There you go. You get a might token. You're cooking. Carrying Husk. Obviously, the card's crazy good. So much value there. Just block for 6. Pretty straightforward, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's also Carrying Husk. I would even say it's like central to the game plan as well for Levia, because at some point in the game, you may not be able to say, I'm gonna block, because you need your cards to get rid of your blood debt, and so you need that get out of jail free card. It's like
absolutely. Right. Scale and flashback as well. I mean, the equipment is kind of like a strong reason that you want to pick up Brute, right? And it's just the way. It's just the way. You need these cards. Being able to intimidate when you on a block it's just so much value. And scab skins. Now, sometimes I see some people run the hooves, right? The hooves that if you banish a card, you get an action point, but not for you. Explain why.
That is a terrible idea, in my opinion. Scab skins is essential in this deck. Like, it is not only the 3 block that you get, but you do actually roll. So don't get me wrong. If you are not a gambler, don't play this deck. You need to take your chances sometimes. It's hard to put into words for me how underrated the scab skin effect is. Like how overly afraid people are to use it. Because if you are playing, I mean, if you're playing at the pro quest and you're like, yeah, I'm like the best player here. Okay, maybe this is the wrong deck to play because you're like, you'd be better off just playing something more consistent. But when you're playing at the PT, one of the most insane things this deck does is like, okay, I'm losing this game. Okay, I'm losing this game as it stands, you know? And now I can take a chance, and half of the time I'm back in the game. Like, I've won game. I recall more moments where I roll in a lost game and then I win the game instead of a one game where I roll. Because if it's a one game, I don't need to roll, right? So if it's a one game, I don't need to roll. But I can be certain that I lose the game and take the chance. Okay, only a 6 gets me out of here. Only I've had that in the we played a min-max gaming event earlier in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
where they like invited us, and I played against a Bravo, and I was like, okay, this early game just went horrible. I need to roll a 6 here. Then I roll a 6, and I go, okay, Hungering Slaughter Beast, Bone Marauder, Blastmorph Head, attack with Blastmorph Head, and I'm back in the game. I won that game, you know? Like, it's just, it delivers you free wins if you know how to take the chance when you're behind.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And then Mandible Claws, it seems to be the go-to approach to all brutes because of Bloodrush Bellow. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's fair enough. Right. So let's go through your deck. We'll go. If you've seen a lot of Levia deck techs, the best person I would say, if you really want to break down the minutiae of everything and its maths and all that sort of stuff on all its core cards, I would say go check out Mansant's channel because he does like hundreds of videos all about Levia, right? So this one is just more of a, I know how Levia works, but just want to hear Ilias's opinion of it. So there's certain cards we're just going to go over, skim it over effectively. Like, for example, Boneyard Marauder, a 1 for 6. It's a pretty core card. Dread Screamer, a 2 for 6. That if you banish a card, it gets go again. Pretty simple. Hungering Slaughter Beast, great value. 2 for 7, yeah? And Endless More, the 3 for 6. If you banish a card, comes in for 9. They're like your core Levia cards. Is that fair?
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's dig into it a little bit more. Now there's obviously a couple of more things that some people may have different opinions on. So let's start off with. Let's have a look at the sideboard just quick. Okay, the one copy of Command and Conquer. Explain yourself.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in hindsight, I would say it's one copy too many.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just like Azalea and stuff in the meta game, it's good, but it is actually a huge downside that this is not a brute attack.
Right.
Like drawing this off a blood rush can be game losing, just straight up. Like
yeah,
that's the thing. But
it is interesting.
Other than that,
it is interesting because it's obviously one of those cards that is just like universally you always just think I'm going to put this card in the deck. Like even no matter what. Sometimes, apart from Wizard, obviously. But most of the time, you always look at this card, don't you? It's just that card that you go.
No, I mean, it makes so much sense in this deck, right? It's a 6, it's a 3 block. I mean, but yeah, it turns out having Brute on the card is important.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So that's why you went for the 1 copy. Slithering Shadowpeed. Now, I love this card, and it seems like it should be. I always think you should just put 3 copies in. I have seen some people 100%. Just put. I've seen some people put 2 though. But
I know.
Yeah. So what's okay? You went for 3. Why?
Yeah, I mean, I would also play 4 if I could. So
right.
It is one of the best cards in the deck. Drawing Art of War and Shadowpeed in the same hand increases the chance of you winning by quite a bit, I would say, in most matchups. So it is worth trying to maximize that. It is a non-block, yes, it's scary and stuff. But if you are trying to cut on the non-blocks, there is different. I did. We talk about it later. There's different avenues where I would go. I would never cut this card.
All right. Okay. So this is an uncuttable card.
Yeah,
so,
it's insane.
And to be honest, I don't know why I didn't mention Swing Big because I think that's
you
the most.
Need to, I think.
Yeah. It's Do you, this is to me the most uncuttable brute card. Like it's alongside Bloodbrush Bellow.
To be fair, it is actually both kind of poorly positioned in the meta game.
Yeah.
And like you could go down to 2, but it's also not actually what you should do, I think. But yeah, because Warrior takes great advantage of the quick into.
It is one. It's interesting, isn't it? But it's never a card you never put in.
No.
I
mean, it's just you do this at the end of a Blood Rush turn for 10. Come on, this is too much.
It's a bit good. It's a bit good. Yeah. And then the Writhing Beast Hulk. I mean, I'm not the Levia pro here. Is this a card that you actually do put into Levia like as a core card? It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Really, I wouldn't call it a core card because I think like maybe the 2-of was a little bit too much of that man sand copium.
All right.
But yeah, it has a spot, like it's there for dominating in the late game, and it's also just like a 6 that blocks for 3, which you need some certain, like it's like in this yellow hungering. Do you rather have the yellow? Do you rather have the dominate that you can put in on a howl at the end or something like that? I think that's the question here.
Yeah. Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Is it 1 year game?
No. Dominate wins you a lot of games, but usually because Convulsions is a card that I actually pitch, and Beast Hulk is a card I rarely get to pitch. It's usually Convulsions which dominate wins you the game.
Got ya. So we'll go over to the yellows. The Agile Wind-Up. Obviously, these Agile Wind-Ups are just they're just cooked when it comes to brute. Just getting that agility token is very important. But you went for 2 copies. How come?
It's much less good in this deck than it is in KO, right? You don't get the might token first of all. And it's very expensive to actually like, okay, on the opponent's turn, I discard this. It is very, it costs you a lot, like using a full card to get the agility like that.
But it's very expensive. But it does fill that graveyard up for you.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's the reason. The reason is why I still play it. It's like, I'm just saying, like, be cautious if it's like the middle of the game and things are already going crazy and people are attacking each other and stuff.
Yeah.
Don't, sometimes this is gonna be awkward as a 2-block and But basically it's very good if you draw turn 0 and it's very good in certain matchups, right?
So, yeah. So just be mindful. So that's why you went for the 2 copies.
Just be mindful, yeah.
Art of War. Yeah, I mean that is This card is a very clear staple. It's doing everything you ever want to do.
And most consistent banish, right? Like if you there's one more turn in the game and you don't know if you're gonna hit with your current graveyard setup because there's like maybe a 5% chance or something to miss. Art of War is here for you. It never misses.
No, and it's Slithering Shadowpede's best friend.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Beast Within, 3 copies of. Again, the way this works for Levia, this is like another core card.
And also one of the best cards in the game, right? Beast Within Blood Rush Bellow is obscenely strong. Right? It cannot be put into words. So good to see.
Blood Bellow. I'll move on. Graveling Growl. I mean, again, I'm a little bit of a Levia noob here. Is this a bit of a staple copy? It feels like it seems a little bit awkward sometimes.
For me, definitely. Like, Yellow Graveling Growl, to me, is one of the stronger cards in the deck. Because, like, if you look at the other, like, your yellow slots are kind of this 6, 3-block something. It could be some people play this Shaden Death Hydra or more Sandpacking or, more Mark of the Beast, yellow Hungering Slaughter Beast, something like that. To me, Yellow Graveling Growl is the best because your turn cycle of Screamer 1 for 6, it works like that. It works with Art of War. It is, to me, it's like the highest upside yellow 3-block that I can have. And it's like I can Arsenal this and play it at some point. It's very good.
Yeah, that's fair. The 2 copies of Mark the Beast. Now, Mark the Beast is I never know this card. Like, there's clearly a big brain with this, and A lot of the time I'm like, I don't
I
get
don't know
it.
about big brain. I don't know about big brain.
I don't know.
Uh,
Well, you put 2 in. What's going on?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's supposed to be some copies, 1 or 2 in the deck list. It is just the reason I say I don't know about Big Brain. It's very nice to have this in the late game, and you like, oh, nice. I don't have to banish 3 cards here. It's like reassurance. I can just play this and fulfill my banish requirements. I can even, if I have an agility token, I can do stuff like Mark of the Beast, break the chain, it goes to banish, then play Graveling Growl.
Yeah.
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 So stuff like that. Or if I roll, which also happens, you can roll.
Yeah.
But it is one of the worst cards to draw in the early game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it can be awkward.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's why there's only 2 copies of. Send packing. Okay, another new brute card. How's this been for Levia?
It's good. It's like it feels the same, yellow 3-block kind of spot. I think Levia is even more. It's weird actually that Levia seems like more interested in this type of card than even KO is, but KO still ends up playing more copies somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know because I don't know. It could also be a 3-off. It's just a very strong card. I think it's just better than Command in this deck. The effect is also good in some matchups. Some decks just profit from having the card even when they block it out, having the card in the arsenal. There were Tomo Fjendals played in Dromai. There's Azalea, which wants to opt with that and stuff.
No, that's fair. But being a free cost, is it awkward?
Yeah, it can be for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to head over to the blues. Some of them again, I think it's just a really obvious site. I think Smashback Ailhorn is kind of becoming a little bit of a generic staple for Levia, just because it's agility, might, graveyard fill, right? Or is it awkward?
Yeah. I mean, I see people run 2 copies, but I think it's one of the best brews, so should run 3.
Yeah, being a 2-block is, or is the payoff for playing it just so much better?
It sucks that it's a 2-block, but it is what it is. I think it is. I would compare this to Agile Windup actually.
Yeah.
Like as an agility creator, and it is. It's just I think it's better. So that's why I run 3 and 2 Windup. Right, you get a Might token on top. It is a blue instead of a yellow. It's not a 6, but other than that, it has more advantages than
That's fair. Wrecker Romp, obviously. Blue 6 cost. I mean, that's in every brute card as well. 2 copies of Barrage and Beatdown. What's that doing? Because, I mean, I'm sure someone's explained this, but the Barrage and Beatdown blues, is it what? Yeah.
There is multiple applications, like, sometimes this can buff your claw to kill a Miragai.
Yeah.
This can be used in the late game in conjunction with Dominate. It can be used in the late game as just like you do like a long chain, you attack them a bunch, and then they have blocked already, or like maybe they're even trying to fatigue you or something, and then you play the barraging at the end, intimidate the last card, and you get in for the kill. So it has like this multiple, and it's also important that it is a spammable card. Like I can just play this. Like I can turn 0, you are gonna play this a lot to just get something in the graveyard, especially in matchups like Draw My Kano or something like that, where they are not attacking you and they are trying to restrict your graveyard and advance their game plan, right? Like Kano is gonna try to do that, and Draw My is also not gonna attack you with the dragons in the early game to not give you poppers, to not give you graveyard, and this is like, and also for Blood Rush battle, right? So if you have this in the hand with another non-6, you can play this and then pitch the other one to play the Blood Rush anyway. So there's like,
it's a flexible card, and you've put in Bonebreaker Bellow, and I find that quite as an interesting choice. Is this targeting a certain hero?
Yes, it was specifically for Dromai, because again graveyard fill, like it puts 2, I can beat chest with that if I want, and I can also kill. It also gives me the +1 if I want it on the claw, which is
Yeah.
I just want to kill some Mirage guys in the early game. That's really what I want to do. And also I wanna give my claw go again to even kill 2 dragons in the early game. So it was a very much a draw my tech. There is something to be said that this has broader application with Beast Within. You can if you happen to pitch your Beast Withins in some late games,
Yeah.
you can enable them with this. But yeah, it rarely comes up. I would say.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. So the Deadwood Rumbler again. That's a pretty staple Levia card. 3. It's a 6 power blue, which is nice. Convulsions from the bellows of hell. The most metal card ever conceived in Flesh and Blood. So this seems to be a bit more of a really strong blue for the end game.
Yeah. I think this is key to the. Again, I was involved in multiple end games actually in the PT. It is the card that you most naturally pitch. It's very often that when you turn into Blasphemophet, you can play this and then play a card from your banish with Blasphemophet and close out the game that way.
Yeah. That's fair. And Soul Harvest. Yeah, obviously another blue. Is this a card of interestingly? Rather than just throwing it into the it's a blue 6 cost 3 block, right? Do you play it off?
It's been played. It's played sometimes. Yeah, I mean it can be a part of a finisher combo with convulsions. It can be an out, just like I don't have a banish. Sometimes that's just the thing. I mentioned how I needed to use a Dreadwood Rumbler to try to hit a banish. Like the cards can come up wrong, and you need to, have some assurance in these blues to I've also played convulsions for basically no value before, just to banish to not die.
Yeah,
it happens. So Soul Harvest having that effect, it can be 12. It can be 13 dominate with convulsions. It comes up. It has a soul text actually, which can also be relevant in some matchups.
Yeah,
rare but possible.
Yeah, no, that's actually that is if it comes up those pesky Boltons.
Yeah, hilariously also you're playing. I played this against Tech Clovers and some armory time ago. When they transform, they have soul. And you can kill them with this.
I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah, so it's I mean, again, you would play more copies, right? As a 6/3. If it was if there was a 12 cost 6 attack 3 block blue, you would also play that. So
that is
this
true.
being better than that.
That's true. And then your one copy of Doomsday, which is awesome, right? Is it something you play? Is it something you set up for, or is it something that just comes up and it's nice? What's Doomsday doing?
Ideally, it just comes up and it's nice, but maybe you have to set up. I mean, it's usually well combined with some go again, right? To get cards off the hand. There may be if you are casting this stuff, probably the opponent is on the back foot a little bit, has to block and stuff. So you can Screamer and then do the Doomsday. You can maybe you have an agility. So there's a lot of maybe an Art of War. So go again, get cards out of the hand, then Doomsday, attack with the Blasphemophet, and they're like, oh, hold up, I didn't keep any cards. I can't kill this guy. And next turn, you not only have the 6 attack that if you have enough go again, you can use, but also you have a guaranteed banish. And keep an eye out also for banishing a Shadow Pete with that. If you have the action points to do so, you can also play it after, right?
There you go. Right. So we're going over to the sideboard, right? Now, obviously, the sideboard's got your Blasphemophet, Levia, just windmill slam that card in now in every single point. I don't again. I'll let Manson explain the reasons why, but great that you've got this right. The Levia redeemed and yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's it's without that. I think there's no reason to play the deck.
Yeah,
both effects, by the way. I think Blasphemophet is the famously talked about, but there is some games and some spots where redeemed is good to have and where you will transform.
Okay. What it's unless what is those reasons for the redeemed?
It's just like I played a game against Kasai where I was really ahead and everything was going great and stuff. And but the only thing they had going for them was like they got to control the flip. They made it really awkward for me. And also there is some hands where they just don't allow you to flip. Like if around the flip turn you just keep drawing Art of War Shadow Pete, it's just not gonna happen, is it? You're not gonna
No.
can't block these cards. You're not gonna pitch Art of War to play Shadow Pete to then transform, maybe, but usually you're just gonna keep going and you're gonna go below 13 and the flip will be gone. And then in the late game, you're gonna transform into redeemed. You might gain some life off of that. You're gonna screamer. You keep your equipment, go down to 1 or 2 intentionally. Then you play your screamer, transform redeemed, and just wins you the game.
Yeah, yeah.
I was at the PT. I was playing against Kasai. Game was going great. I was like really ahead and everything. And my plan was of the last turn of my game, I was gonna play Blood Rush Bellow, Claw, Screamer, and then transform into redeemed, gaining me 4 life. And I was just gonna be chilling, but I missed my Screamer, so that didn't work out. I lost that game, but yeah. It was there. It would have done something. It was a 0.3% to miss a Screamer.
These percentages are getting lower. They're getting lower each time.
Yeah. This one was the particularly nasty one. It was I was X3 at that point. Had 2 more games, and it was really Screamer really cost me that. I don't know how I missed so many below 2% that tournament. It's pretty insane.
It's brute life, bro. It's the brute life. You roll for it.
Yeah. And it was also, I mean, my friends came up to me and then like kind of, needling me on top of it, saying, yeah, I mean, if you take 102% chances over the course of the game, over the course of the tournament, they're going to fail sometimes. I'm like, bro, against the Kasai, every banish I did I had less than 3 non-6s in the graveyard. This was the first chance I had to take. I had 4, by the way, if you want to redo the math, I had 4 misses and in 21 cards in the...
there's the chance. There's always the chance that you roll the 111, right?
If you... Yeah, there is a chance, yeah. If you have quads... There is a chance your opponent has a royal flush. It's just not that high.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right. So 1 copy of Health and Beyond, just the one. When instead of going into why you've picked it, I think it's clear. I'm going to ask, when do you pick this card in?
Any grindy matchup, like this was key in the Victor game. It was actually crazy that I played. Like, I don't know, I cast the type like 5 times. You just keep howling at them. It's like part of this recursion package, right? You tutor it with Shadow of Plasmophet. That's the other card that's related to this. Yeah. You get it in your banish. You play it. You banish it. You play it again. You banish it. You play it again. You just keep going. And it gives you a lot of value. That's what it's here for.
And then is the Shadow of Blasphemophet, Health and Beyond, are those 2 just interlinked?
Yes. They're interlinked. That's what they're for. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And Deep-Rooted Evil is part of the same package as well.
Oh, okay. So those 3 cards are the grindy matchup. This is just going to get this will get this onto the board, and then we go beep, and you can just do... You can play those turns over and over. All right, okay, cool. And then the 2 copies of Pulping, when are they coming in?
This is mostly for Kano, just as early graveyard fill, early pressure, because they're not giving you much to work with here. So you have to go down on the banishes. You have to cut like some Hungering Slaughter Beasts and stuff like that, and put in more proactive plays, in order to fill up the graveyard. So Pulping is, I think, the best in slot for that. It's scary, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. And then the 1 copy of Smashing Performance is this. This just screams, I don't know. But my brain goes mechanologist, right? But there's also gold. You can smash some gold up, but I don't think that's what it's for.
No, really.
What is it for?
Really. I mean, I actually think the first application is again Kano.
Right.
As it's also graveyard fill, it can destroy an E-pot sometimes. and then there's also mechanologist. Like it's like this could be a third pulping if you think Kano is more of a thing, but if you wanna, this is like a hedge. Okay, maybe there is some mechanologist. I wouldn't actually submit this card again.
Right.
Smashing performance, but it was the idea. The idea was it has this usability against Kano, and it has also the upside against mechanologist.
Okie doke. Fair enough. So, your sideboard equipment seems like it's a really clear, varied matchup stuff. So you've got the Cloak of Darkness, the Grasp of Darkness, and the Skullhorn. Scream to me, maybe even Tunic. Yeah, and Tunic screams to me, Kano.
No, a cloak of darkness is the chess equipment for
Oh,
Kano,
of course.
right?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No, not the Tunic.
But hooves is for Kano as well.
Hooves are for Kano as well. Okay. All right. So obviously the cloak, the grasp, and the skull. Well, they're your spell void, right? And the skull horn is your AB2. So why hooves?
I think it is actually a very essential piece in the Kano matchup because you need that. Once you get going with the banishes, you can keep going. But it can be tough to get the initial graveyard fill and the initial go again to enable your screamers, to enable the stuff. So you can, like a matchstick a little bit, you can use the hooves to get the ball rolling. Okay, this is the first turn. This turn, I'm going to play Hungering Slaughter Beast, Pop Hooves, Shadowpete for 6. You know?
Yeah.
And now I banished 3 with my Slaughter Beast,
Yeah.
and this would put me off graveyard, but because the Hooves is now in the graveyard, and I got to cast an extra attack which didn't banish, that also ends up in the graveyard.
Yeah.
I'm fine. So it's like this, initial starting.
Yeah. Keeps the cycle going. That's really cool. Yeah. Right. So, and is those cards only going in for Kano? Do they also go into other matchups, or is it just Kano?
Just Kano.
Just Kano. Kano, you've taken 4 slots off this hero because you're that good, right?
It is very weird. Like the deck does really poorly into Kano. If you have this, it does very well, and if you don't, it does very poorly. So
that's fair enough. That's
fine.
So the Tunic. So obviously, you've got Tunic versus Carrion Husk. When are you put in the Tunic, and if there is other equipment that are also playing into this, just mention.
So now we're getting into the stuff that nobody else runs. Tunic is rarely seen, I would say. It is part of my draw my strategy.
Right.
Balance of Justice and Tunic instead of Flashback and Carrion Husk.
Yeah.
Is the idea that you can you punish them with the Balance of Justice of the tome, drawing cards, making your turn huge, and you get so you kind of cover yourself against this more aggressive starts and stuff like that. And Tunic is here for because they don't want to attack you. Like that's the whole thing. They want to build up the board and don't want to attack you. Because they don't want to fill up the graveyard and stuff. So Tunic is there to just punish them for doing that.
Okay,
it's really good.
Yeah. And so, is there any other time you'd put them in, or are they just kind of Dromai tech?
That's I think against Brutes, the Flashback is still better.
Yeah.
And Tunic, some very niche stuff, like maybe if I see like a Teklovossen or something like that, or Balance of Justice, if I know my opponent is on like some cash-in Kasai list, maybe, if it's like very heavy on that, but like it doesn't, usually you don't have that information, or those decks are not really played.
Fair enough. And then the Gambler's Gloves. You obviously you're not gone too brave with the Scab Skins. I always see some people with the list that go, "No Gambler's Gloves. We're gonna roll this." When's Gambler's Gloves coming in?
Against decks where you have to roll a decent amount, right? So you have to roll more because they're gonna put a passing on the board, and you're gonna have to roll to kill it.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you play the Gambler's Cups. And also where Apex is less good because, again, they're not attacking you. You're not going to get the My token. And That doesn't really work. So Gambler's Gloves is very good there. You can see on stream, I didn't submit them against Prism. That's of course a huge punt. It's like
Yeah.
it's very good. Yeah, they play Arclight Sentinel. They're gonna make you roll, and you're gonna roll, and you're gonna re-roll if you miss. So
Yeah. That's totally fair enough. Now, that's the list, right? And we've kind of just blasted through this. So, what I'm gonna ask next is just what would you sort of change out now that, because let's be fair, Dromar's gone, right? I know she technically hasn't gone, but by the time we've probably watched this video or whatever, she probably has gone, right? By this point.
Yeah.
What would you do? Because there seems to be some really clear Dromai strategies and a lot of spaces put in against that hero. So now she's gone.
For sure. I mean, that is an intractably difficult question because
Well, just some first thoughts, I guess.
There is some there is just Dromai leaving has so many implications on the broader metagame as well that you have to kind of wait and see how it shakes up. But the first thing that I think you can expect to happen is that, more defensive, more just decks that were really bad into Dromai are played now. Uzuri, the Assassins, some defensive mechanologist strategies, even more warrior than already, the Dory deck with the hatchets, Kasai and stuff like that. So you really have to, that changes everything for Brood as well, I think. That for me, it increases equity of cards like Clash of Agility, because if people are playing warrior against me and that's a card I'm interested in, it increases how much it decreases how much I'm interested in agility creation and more like a mid-range game plan to some extent. There's a lot of things going on. You get a lot of slots as well, as you mentioned, Tunic, Balance of Justice. These cards are probably not in the list anymore. So you get to do a lot of things. You probably get some mirror takes, hold the line, something like that. There's a
lot.
There's a lot.
There is a lot. Well, I have to say, Ilias, I thank you so much for taking your time to break down your Levia deck. It's really cool. Every time I see this, I almost feel like, oh man, I really want to play this, because I've actually got all the cards, and the deck link will be below. So I would highly recommend you go and take this to your local armory, or take it over to Teleshow if you can't make it. And Ilias has kindly put a matchup guide for all of you to sort of, for whoever you're playing up against, these are the cards you should put in. But I would also just have a play around with it, right? Because I think a lot of the time you kind of just get these cards, and if you don't know really why you got these cards in, hopefully this deck tech gives you a bit of a breakdown. But it's important to just play it, right? Maybe don't put it in, and then you realize why it is in there. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. That's good advice. And yeah, please play the deck, because it is so much fun. Like, if somebody who misses a 0.3%, for top 8 tells you this, I would do it again. Like, I would submit this again. The odds are not that bad. Like, you are presented with decent odds. You might still fail, and you might remember those failures more than the times it went right. But it is, I think this is if like Brian Gottlieb wants to make an argument why more randomness in Flesh and Blood is a good thing. Like, this is the best argument I've ever seen. It is comparing this sort of playstyle and the heart pounding games you're gonna play to like something like Hatchet Dory or Pistol Dash with like these
simple
patterns that just repeat themselves. Or Hammer, Ultim, stuff like that where we used to see. This is really, it's something else. Like, it is so much fun to play. Every turn is different. Every game is different. Every game is losable and winnable. So it is not this, I'm just so far behind. No, you can find ways and make comebacks, and these are stories that you're gonna tell. Like this game where I took 10. Like, I could go on. You're gonna have so many insane games playing this, and I hope you're gonna have a good time, I think.
The deck that can take your tournament or win you every game. It's just the way. It's you got an out for everything and a losable option in also every case as well. But dude, thank you so much for taking your time to go through this. It's been a pleasure to just meet you for the first time as well.
Yeah. I thank you for having me. I'm still trying to get that big W. I was like top 16 in Baltimore and like top 8 nets and something like that. But I go to every pro tour. I'm like definitely competing a lot. So I hope to do well and keep sharing with you guys what I'm cooking.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thank you so much, everyone. Peace out.